This upcoming concert season will be all about the boots, and Tecovas is your stop for the best in Western style. Tecovas has seasonal and limited edition offerings this spring and summer, including men's and women's boots, apparel, hats, bags, and more. All Tecovas boots are made by hand in a time-honored tradition with timeless styles that are always on trend. And Tecovas has first wear comfort with little to no break-in period. It's hard to find this level of comfort paired with this level of style. Stop by your local Tecovas store, have a complimentary drink or two, that's WCB style, and shop new styles. The smell of fresh leather and friendly staff are at your service. Many stores even have leather custom branding to make your boots truly personalized. And with regular live music and events, there's no in-store experience like it. If you can't make it into a store, just visit tecovas.com. That's TECOVAS.com. They offer free shipping on all boots, as well as free returns and exchanges, and ship right to your door. Go to tecovas.com and find your new favorite pair of boots today.
Fishing like a local isn't just about catching fish. It's about connecting with the environment and the people who call it home. It's about hearing the stories and traditions that have been passed down for generations and sharing unforgettable moments with the people you meet along the way. Fishing like a local is having an experience that stays with you forever. And with Fishing Booker, you can experience it too, no matter where you are. Discover your next adventure on Fishing Booker.
It's done.
Connor McDavid! It's not real!
The goal of the year,
Panarin!
part of the past. The celebrations, forgotten. The history,
Vegas Golden Knights!
history. We're back to a blank slate. Clean ice. All that matters now is what happens next. The Stanley Cup playoffs.
Eastern Conference Final begins Wednesday.
All right. Welcome back to the Survival and Basic Badass podcast. Today, we're going to talk about secret survival. And what I mean is operational security. Doing what you have to do so everybody doesn't know your business. And basically, when the end of the world happens, everyone in the world isn't trying to break down your door. So, I know we've talked about securing maybe, home security and how to not look like a total disaster. But I want to dig a little bit deeper in this, where, you're gardening, what you're telling your friends every time you have people over. I've heard rumors about people where they have their friends over, and as soon as somebody comes over, they're like, oh, come on in my room, let me show you my gun safe. Mm-hmm. Let me go through my whole arsenal and be like, hey, look at this awesome gun I just bought. Look at my stash of AR-15s under the bed. Am I awesome or what? And I know it's cool, and we're excited about prepping, and we want to get other people excited about prepping. And that's good, you want to build up, because if everybody else is prepared, nobody's trying to steal your shit. So I like that.
Right.
But just the same, you got to have some kind of sense of security, some kind of OPSEC, where you're kind of just protecting things that, so people don't come rob you blind.
Yeah, because if there is an issue and people aren't prepping, they're going to be out looking for something to feed themselves real quick.
Right. So I guess the first thing I really wanted to get into is, I know I've mentioned in the past that Secret Survival Garden book. And that guy talks about, kind of growing your garden in the outskirts of your property, things that don't necessarily look like your traditional rows. Now, he comes at it from a point of view of, well, you're going to get better yields if things grow naturally. Turns out nature doesn't naturally grow up in rows. Mm-hmm. I thought it did. I mean, any farm I've ever seen, that's how it is. So, but it turns out that we actually were the reason that happens. And that's, I think we talked about in the tracking episode that, anything that has order is a sign that man's been there.
Right.
And nature really doesn't, what is it? Nature fills a vacuum or abhors a vacuum, something like that.
Right.
And basically, there isn't going to be your traditional, rows and spaces and weeding and whatever. So, not to get too off task, but the idea with that is planting things that grow along the tree line. There's a lot of berries and different bushes that you can really, add to your food supply without drawing attention to it.
Right.
Sweet potatoes are a great one where you have something in the ground. Very few people know what the leaves look like when they look at it. The leaves are edible as greens, like regular, lettuce, this and that. They're awesome for that.
And sweet potatoes have a lot of calories and carbohydrates.
A lot of calories. They're awesome, when you don't have additives for your food, you don't have sugar to put on things. Sweet potatoes are a step in the right direction. Little something different. Trees. You could plant, fruit tree. They're good. Sometimes they give away a little too much, but
yeah, I think
a tree is a lot better than a garden.
Right.
If you got, 50 apples laying across your lawn, I guess somebody might notice that, but they're not going to think you're a prepper.
Right.
They're going to think, oh, he's got an apple tree.
Yeah. And there's a lot of stuff you can do from, smaller scale, to bulldozing acres and acres of land and starting a garden that way, starting a new forest. But if you've got a small space, if you're living in an apartment complex or you're living in an urban area, there's a lot of places right around you that you can plant things that, aren't necessarily,
Traditional.
glaring out traditional, right. You could do things like rooftops. Vacant lots is a good one. I know a lot of people will just go and if you find a vacant lot and fill it with Swiss chard and spinach and spiderwort and like the root vegetables, beets, potatoes, carrots, sweet potatoes, people aren't necessarily going to know what that is.
Right.
Know that it's edible. You can do it on any sort of patch of lawn you have, a little backyard or along, your fences.
That's it, stuff looking overgrown.
Right. Even a lot of the smaller parks.
Okay.
You can go into, in the, don't go into Central Park and start digging up lawns and stuff. But,
now they frown on that.
But
some guy
parks,
on a horse
yeah,
will come over and knock you.
Go over to the fences in any of the parks and just you can throw some seeds out any place. Get things going.
Keep the poison ivy.
Right.
Well, that was one of the
natural defense.
Yeah, in the park. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I did around me is ginseng.
Mm-hmm.
Went all through the woods with ginseng seed, and it cost a couple bucks. But now my woods are full of ginseng. You can walk back there and just pull it out. Now again, that's not your survival food.
Right.
People.
But
the right guy would be like, "Oh, medicinal purposes, it's awesome."
Yeah.
Whatever.
No, I think that's something that not overlooked too. Is a lot of the things that people don't recognize.
Right.
Are the things that are valuable medicinally, like stinging nettle. That's a famous one, and it also makes a great barrier.
Okay.
If you got kids running through your lawn, like I do, or just want to keep people out.
You don't like people, all right?
Yeah, stinging nettle and raspberry bushes. Have you ever tried run through a bunch of raspberry bushes?
No,
it doesn't end good.
No, and that's when there isn't berries on it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell the difference between poison ivy and raspberries to save my life. You know?
They look exactly the same practically. So that's good. But if you're gonna move up to if you have some space, that's even better. That's where you can really get some things growing, get some weeds growing in your yard. Make it look like it's weeds. Things like dandelions, clovers. Lamb's quarter, chickweed, and there's apparently a thing called plantains, which are not the banana plantains.
I know the banana plantains.
Yeah, this is a different. It looks like a weed. It looks, Yeah, I think I have it probably growing all over my yard because I don't even have grass in my lawn. No. It's just weeds. No. But that's a good a good way to run it. You know, just plant it right in your grass, do it right in your lawn. All those sorts of weeds that are edible. You know, there's no reason to go around your yard pulling up all the dandelions if you know, if you don't have to.
Yeah. No, I was thinking, you know, like I was saying with the fruit trees, but even if you don't want to have, all right, I got an apple tree with apples all over. Well, what if you had an apple tree and then you planted some garlic around the base, then you planted some grapevines that are going to grow up your apple tree, and then you put some, it'll occur to me like rosemary and herbs and like that on the outside of that. All of a sudden, it just looks like another section of the woods, you know, on the edge of your property. And, you know, all of a sudden, there's so much going on there, but nothing that's going to draw any attention. You know, it's all kind of caught back.
Right.
So,
and I have a big garden that's fenced in.
You do.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, here's the thing. If you live in a neighborhood where you drive down the road and you see 6 gardens, then there's nothing wrong with you having a small garden. You just don't want to look crazy. You don't want to look like you're way out of the norm from everybody else in your neighborhood. The other thing, when it's private in your backyard, like me, you drive up the long, you know, the mile driveway, and then, there's a house back here. So, you know, most things I'm doing, nobody's going to pick up on because it's hidden.
Right.
And, you know, most people's backyard, that's the case. Well, I say most people, unless you're a idiot, you know? So.
Yeah. But, you know, when you're doing that sort of stuff, it's easy to kind of camouflage, you know, grow the things that you like and get rid of the stuff you don't like. You can do it in little stages, or you can, you know, just start with a big thing, clear an acre, and start planting your trees, you know, with your grapes in the middle, your you know, berry bushes around the outside, and just make little like sections, little pods, you know.
And that's if you just keep bringing in the woods, you know, with sections of good. So that's one thing. So maybe you want to check out this book. I'll put a link to it again in the show notes. I know I've mentioned it like at least 4 times in the past, you know, because it really hit home with me. I don't know. It just seemed like the perfect prepping, you know, guide for setting up the homestead. So whatever. So that's that aspect. And, you know, with spring just about, you know, just around the corner, you know, you guys might want to start thinking of the approach, you know.
Yeah, it's good to it's good to stick to, when you're doing it, it's good to stick to like native plants that are local, that grow in your area.
And that, I mean, I find my wife is huge into gardening, so she'll drag me to a lot of the different, you know, garden centers and all that. And they'll have sections of native plants, you know.
Right.
And there might be one, you know, type of pear tree that really grows well in your region. There might be one cherry tree that really kills it. And they'll sell that, you know, and you'll see these things right there. And why fight it? You know, go with what's natural instead of what, you know, what you got to work for to, you know, get any yield from.
Right.
But, so gardening, that kind of stuff, that's one thing, you know. So, but there's more to it. Bunny rabbits. I was thinking, you know, that might be something I'm into. Right now, I have chickens. You know, I know we've talked about them in the past. And right now, they're kind of, again, I have the long driveway. You're not going to see anything from the road anyway. But when you come up my driveway, they're right there in front of you. And so that was one of the big projects for this year, was to move the chickens back behind the house so that, you know, it's out of the way. You know, somewhere where it's not going to be right in things. And chickens are something that kind of got to get outside and whatever. You know, you're not really just leaving them in a coop all the time. Right. So people are going to see them. You can't really hide it. But I was thinking I want to do bunnies. And I was thinking, you know, I could build a shed and make it so it really doesn't look any different than a regular shed.
Right.
And pretty much have it set up for rabbits where I'm breeding. You know, I get so excited they say, you know, 2 rabbits can give you 320 pounds of meat a year. It's more than a cow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You know, that's really
and rabbit
cool.
isn't bad tasting.
And for nothing. You know, I mean, yeah, there's some work, but when you need food, and, you know, I shared a link of that on Facebook or something, and one of you guys got back to me and was like, well, you know, rabbits don't have any fat, and if you're just eating rabbit meat, you'll get sick from not having fat. Well, one, if you saw me, you'd know I don't have any problem finding fat, so don't worry about it. But aside of that, but most of that's beer, you know. It's, you know,
you're gonna have to, but you're gonna have to supplement rabbit. You you can't eat just rabbit anyway.
I'm eating eggs. I'm eating rabbit. I mean, no, I'm not eating rabbit.
Yeah, technically, you can starve to death if you only eat rabbit.
Only ate protein, right? Well, that's right. But we're not talking about hunting and survival. We're talking about supplementing. But you know what? If rabbit was the only meat you ate, it wouldn't necessarily be a problem.
That's right.
It's just, it can't be the only thing you eat.
Right.
But anyway, that's way off, you know, task, neither here nor there. I mention it now as the preemptive. I don't want the hate mail because I already got it. And it's funny because actually that's one of the few things I saw on one of those, like, dual survival or something. The guy was like, oh, you know, the rabbit, you got to eat the eyeballs too, because if you don't get some fat and other stuff, you're going to get, I don't even know, what was it, ketosis, or I don't even know what the thing is when you have too much protein poisoning. Is that what they call it?
I don't know what they call it, but I know what you're talking about.
So whatever. Yeah. But, you know, and the guy's like, well, if you eat the eyeballs, you're okay. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's maybe not.
Yeah, it's kind of
gross. It may come to that point, but we're not there today. So whatever. But my point is, there's ways to incorporate everything so that it can be subtle. And, you know, maybe you throw some skylights in your shed. And then you got the bunnies in there. Right. Or even little solar lights in there. You know, that doesn't mark you as a prepper. Oh, he's got a shed in his backyard. Who doesn't? Right. You know? To me, you know, that's kind of an awesome thing. I really do want to do an episode on bunnies, but honestly, I don't know enough about them yet.
Yeah, I had rabbits when I was younger, but I haven't had them since then.
No, that's it. Yeah, my sister had the 4-H, whatever. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I had rabbits growing up. But
and that's my problem is the kids are going to be attached to them.
Yeah.
And, oh, look at the cute.
And then you got to smash their head with a hammer.
I'm hitting it with a hammer. The bunny in the pot.
Yeah.
So, anyway, moving right along. So, rabbits, chickens, garden, all OPSEC. Now, we have friends over. We want to encourage them to prepping. We want to talk to them. We're like, hey, you know, I mean, I don't know. Basically, the arsenal. What do? You know, I mean, really, the safe should be out of the way. I know I mentioned in the past, people are like, when I went to do the gold coins, they were like, whatever you do, don't keep it in the master bedroom, because that's the first place, you know, everybody goes to look. And it's the same thing with your guns. You know, obviously, you have a home defense gun, you're going to want to keep in the bedroom and, you know, handy for when somebody's kicking in your door. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the storage of your arsenal of AR-15s.
That you may or may not have.
That you may or may not have. And the extra, you know, 1,000 rounds of ammo. Which, by the way, we will get into in a second. But, sorry, I get excited. Anyway, so you want to put them somewhere in your house that's out of the way. Think, like, you know how a lot of people have, like, a closet under the stairs? If you set up your safe in there, or even just put a deadbolt on that closet door and kind of secured it, fortified it a little bit, put gun locks, whatever your laws require, whatever, you know, whatever nonsense. And it's out of the way. You don't want your guns on display as a big... Now, maybe you do. Maybe you're full-on redneck and whatever. That's cool, too. I mean, I gotta say, if I could have the sniper rifle on display up over the TV, I don't think you're wrong. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying it doesn't really help your operational security, you know?
Right.
The ammo, you know, whatever. So I was really thinking about this, and I was starting to put stuff away this weekend. I was out at, actually took some time off work, so I was able to, you know, really put some time into, you know, organizing and stockpiling stuff. And they had ammo cans at Tractor Supply.
Uh-huh.
And I think they had small ones for $8 each, and big ones were $10 each. And I was like, ooh, it's a pretty good deal.
Mm-hmm.
So I bought just 2, and I was like, oh, let me see. I open them up. They have the nice rubber seal. And they're airtight.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, now I like them a little bit better. Bought like 5 more. And then, so I get home. I got this ammo can. And I'm like, oh, this small one, I could put 22 rounds in.
Mm-hmm.
Dump a bunch of 22 rounds in there. Turns out, one small ammo can, I was fitting like, must have been probably 2,500 22 rounds.
Really?
And I was like, ooh.
Well, I mean, they are designed for ammo, right?
They're designed for ammo. So I was really happy about that. And I grabbed the bigger ones, and I'm throwing the boxed 5.56 rounds for the AR.
Mm-hmm.
Load those up. Now, this is where the magic happened, and this is what I wanted to tell you about, is I'm loading it up, and the old lady comes in, and she's like, oh, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, I'm just trying to, organize the ammo, whatever, put it in there. She looks, she's putting in the boxes and helping me out. And she's like, well, I really like the shape of these boxes because they fit in just right and they go the other way. You should buy a lot more of these.
Ah.
And I was like, you don't know what you just
Women
said.
love organizing things, man.
And I was like, this is the greatest day ever. So needless to say, I jump in the car. I'm like, I'll be right back. And anyway, needless to say, there's a lot more bullets in my house. And then when I came home, she came home yesterday, and I was like, yeah. I opened up the ammo cans, and some of the brass isn't as shiny as it was before, and I'm a little sad. And she was like, oh, whatever. But she didn't put together, like, why are you opening the ammo cans again?
Again, yeah.
And I'm like, because I bought lots more bullets.
Yeah. So, and then there's the, the idea. You obviously want to have enough ammo for, easy access and ready use.
Yes.
But, your big stockpiles, you don't necessarily want sitting on your in your bedroom floor next to your gun safe.
Exactly. And that's the thing. So, like I said, just find somewhere to stash, the big stuff. Get it put away. I actually was even more excited because then I go out and buy a bunch of clips because I'm all inspired. Mm-hmm. We will say magazines.
Okay.
Upset anyone.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And so anyway, because I can't hear any feedback. I'm feeling pretty good right now.
Uh-huh.
All right. So I buy a bunch of magazines. And I'm like, well, how am I going to fill them up? I've already put away all my bullets. So I had to buy bullets, the exact amount, just to fill all the magazines. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, this is a win. So and then, am I wrong? Because I come out of Gander Mountain and I take the magazines and I'm just sitting there loading them up.
In the car?
The bullets in the parking lot. Ripping open the boxes, going...
Yeah, it might be a little bit crazy.
That might be a little crazy. Okay, just checking.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying hypothetically, that might be something somebody might do.
Yeah. Yeah, and if I walk past you in the car doing that, I go inside and tell them to call the police because somebody's about to shoot up the place. There's a guy just filling magazines in the parking lot.
Just seemed right. I was like, well, that's, all right, just checking. Mm-hmm. Not saying that's something I would do. I'm just saying
it's something that might happen.
Might happen, All right, putting that out there. All right, so moving right along, same thing, food storage. Mm-hmm. Like I said, you buy, all right, say you have the stockpile that's the normal pantry, no problem, people see it, whatever. But then you have the ridiculous containers of 1 month supply, and you have 8 or 12 or 24 of those stacked up. Then all of a sudden you look kind of like a crazy person.
Yeah. And
it's not so much that you're worried about people thinking you're crazy, it's that you don't want them thinking, hey, I'm really hungry, and who has. Mm-hmm. And so the same thing, make sure you're putting this stuff somewhere out of the way. And even if it's just stacked up behind other stuff, just where it's not flaunting.
Yeah. What I did with some of my stuff was got some 5-gallon buckets, cleaned them out, and loaded them up. And they're sitting with my other 5-gallon buckets of primer and
exactly.
paint and 5-gallon buckets of joint
I've heard of
compound.
people filling up paint cans. Mm-hmm. You want to put them in those Mylar bags
or
whatever.
Right. You want to bag it up before you put it in there, even no matter how well you clean it out.
Cans, nobody messes with that stuff. And even, honestly, if you just stuck it in the like, Tupperware.
Yeah.
That you get,
plastic
at
container.
Target or whatever, those big plastic containers, people just assume it's full of old clothes, that's their winter clothes or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's out of the way. You just don't want the big sticker on the side, My Patriot Supply or whatever. You don't need that. Mm-hmm. You're not going to forget what's in those containers,
Right.
So, whatever. So, moving right along. Same thing, when people come over, you don't need to tell them everything. Mm-hmm. You don't need to be like, hey, I stockpile all this. You say, oh, have you ever thought about food storage? I'm kind of interested in that. I don't know. It's just something I'm kicking around, and you feel people out.
Right.
You can kind of inch them in the right direction. I was happy to know that my sister-in-law ends up coming over for Christmas, and she ends up buying me like badass beard oil or something. Uh-huh. And she's like, oh, I didn't even know you had a podcast called whatever till my son told me. And she's like, he saw the oil and he was like, oh, you got that because of the podcast. And she's like, what are you talking about? But it made me feel like, oh, maybe I'm not as bad with my OPSEC as I thought.
No, because we're both idiots because we got a podcast about it.
Right, but it's not... But that doesn't mean that all the people around us are going to know. And as far as the government and stuff, we're out there or whatever. Yeah. But somebody's got to warn everybody. The more people got to prepare.
Right.
Again, we've talked about it 100 times. I'm not saying that, any one thing is going to happen. I don't know. It might just be a hurricane and you have 5 days. Mm-hmm. These things, you're an idiot to not think. I mean, we hear commercials on the radio daily where I am that say, you never know when the day before is the day before. Mm-hmm. And that's a thing. And that's, New York City radio that's telling me that. Because you know what? A hurricane can come. And all of a sudden, you can't get to the grocery store for 4 days.
Right.
And is that cool with you? Do you have enough food for 4 days? You should.
Yeah. Are you going to freeze to death in your house if your power's out for 3 days?
You might.
You might.
And that's, especially in New York. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, this is what I'm talking about is you should have a little bit. And you need to kind of nudge your neighbors, even if you gently get them into it. And then even take it to bigger things. Oh, you're worried about, a hurricane or whatever. But... did you see what happened in Greece with, their dollar collapsing and, that kind of thing. Gee, could that ever happen here? You ever think that maybe, you wouldn't be able to go to an ATM or use a credit card for 5 days? Mm-hmm. How would that be? Would you be able to get to work or would you be able to get gas? Be able to go to the grocery store if you didn't have any money? These are the things that you could just plant the seeds.
Right.
Have a little bit, hey... Get them thinking about it. Get their feet wet. But you also don't want to be like, it's more, hey, I was wondering about this. What do you think? Not, hey, you should come in my basement.
Yeah, and look at all the stuff that you don't have to even store food.
Yeah, I have 2 years worth of survival food, or look at my giant garden. Yeah, this is, but hey, I'm thinking about getting into gardening, easing into it and not giving away your whole... And then that way when the day, because that's like a passing comment, that's not whatever. Mm-hmm. And then when the day comes, be like, yeah, it didn't work out. I don't know. We should have prepared.
We should have done more.
I was thinking about it, and you're right, and I didn't. Mm-hmm. Because that's, I always wanted to buy a gun, but they looked so scary. I didn't know what to do. I thought I'd shoot my eye out, So that's always what I'm worried about.
Yeah, I actually thought it was interesting. I saw a billboard the other day when I was driving that had a house on fire and said, "Are you ready?" and it had ready.gov on there.
Yeah.
So I went on the website, and they've actually got some interesting little,
yeah.
It's minor stuff. It's, preparing for a house fire. It's, preparing for a storm with the power going out and that sort of thing.
Now, I saw a billboard the other day, had a picture of a postman and a sailor, and it said, "Who's your daddy? Get your DNA testing done here." This was down in Norfolk.
I can promise that it's not me.
Down in Norfolk. And I'm like, wait a minute, what are they implying? Oh, that's just wrong.
Postman always rings twice.
He's a trickster. My postman came over the other day. He's knocking on the door, and it's like, can I use your bathroom? And I'm like, well,
really?
Yes. Yeah, oh, yeah.
I mean, to me, honestly, if a postman came up, I'd feel a little bit bad, but
no,
you're kind of out of the way for somebody to just knock on your door, ask
no,
to
she
use
was
a bathroom.
dropping a package, and she's like, "Oh, by the way, do you mind?" And I'm like, "Yeah, whatever."
One or two.
Exactly. Well, I didn't give her the courtesy of going to check to make sure it was clean first. I was like, go ahead there.
It's in there. It's over
out.
there.
Whatever. Mm-hmm. So that's on you. But, no, that's it. So I was talking to one of my trapper buddies today, and I go over to his house, and I'm like, yeah, how's it going, with yours? And he takes me in the other room. He's like, I got 50 muskrats so far this year.
Really?
Shows me all of them. He's got them all skinned and ready.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, so what are you getting for those? He's like, about $3 a fur.
Damn.
And I'm like, oh, no. Because, dude, he's got, like 3 hours in each one.
Right.
I'm like, yeah, that's not really that cool.
Yeah.
But
yeah, no, I saw a bunch of otters the other day when I was driving. They were just hanging out on the ice and diving down in the water and pulling stuff up.
So
but they're all over the place here.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Now, I mean, I know my mail lady, she's always asking when she sees me getting packages, what's in that one? What's that? Same
sex
thing.
toys.
Yeah, sex toys is what I should be telling her.
It's very personal.
I like sex, so, let me tell you. But
see this plain brown paper package? It's plain for a reason. Mind your business, lady.
Whoa. Now, what about when you go out in town? Are you wearing the Prepping Badass t-shirt? Is that what's happening?
I wear whatever keeps me warm, man.
Whatever keeps me warm. I found it at the thrift store.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah. Well, I think, it's important to, like you said, to find that balance, though.
That's it, because we're not cowards. We're not hiding away from the world.
Mm-hmm.
We're not ashamed of who we are. I have a beard.
Yeah.
You don't even know, but, hey, you do what you gotta.
Yeah,
I might wear camouflage here and there, but that doesn't say I'm a crazy prepper. That doesn't mean come rob me.
Yeah, no, I had to trim my beard. I had a traffic ticket. I had to go to court, and I looked in the mirror and realized I looked kind of like a mix between Charles Manson and Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber. Oh. I was like, maybe I just better get it under control a little bit. I had like small birds living in it and stuff.
That's, you got to keep some snacks in there,
That's the sign of a true prepper.
True prepper.
When you can store a 2-liter bottle of soda in your beard.
Pull it out. Hey! That's it. I was talking to a guy. He's like, yeah, I was watching people discussing their beards on the internet. And right away I was like, wait a minute. What's going on here? Mm-hmm. And he's like, yeah, and this guy we had this ZZ Top beard. And he's like, yeah, it took 2 years. And, full on. And I'm like, not me. I don't know. Maybe you. But whatever. So, bottom line, keep your business your business. Have a good time. Enjoy life. Don't be afraid. Mm-hmm. Don't, run around cowering. Don't be like, oh shit, I can't, whatever. But also, you don't need to share what you don't need to share. Right. You know what I'm saying? Just don't be ridiculous about it. Mm-hmm. Just keep in mind what you're doing. When you get into prepping, you get into this stuff. Just pay attention.
Yeah.
Be aware of who's around you. Be aware of what you're saying.
And if you're really, tearing up your lawn and replacing it with weeds that are edible, you're going deep, and you're getting crazy.
You might have
just like us. Yeah, you might have a problem like us. There's
and
nothing wrong with that.
It's time to start growing a beard.
Yeah, it's time.
It's time. You've already gone this far. You may as well commit and go full in. That's what I say. So, all right. Now, anything in the news? We got anything big this week?
Yeah, actually, there's a big push now.
Uh-oh.
Rich people are been getting into prepping lately.
Yeah,
so I started looking into it, and apparently it's like rich Democrats scared about Trump and building bunkers and storm shelters and all sorts of stuff.
Now, what do they think? He's going to start like nuclear war with Russia?
I don't know.
No.
I mean, there's a thin line between hippie and survivalist, you know? So
Patchouli.
Yeah, patchouli is really the main. If you put patchouli in your beard, that's really the line right there. And I'm kind of embarrassed because I got some beard soap that has patchouli in it.
Oh, you're killing me.
Yeah, no, next thing you know, I'm going to be listening to Bob Dylan and not wearing clothes anymore.
We won't
gardening naked
we
today.
We won't even understand you when you're talking.
Yep. Nope. So, yeah, apparently there's a big push out like in Silicon Valley,
Right.
you know, building underground bunkers and building secret rooms and secret storage compartments and things like that. So, if you're a carpenter looking to build that sort of stuff, that's the spot to be. Because apparently they're hiring people left and right. Because Donald Trump is going to come and close their grocery store.
Is that what's happening?
I'm not sure.
All
I'm not
right.
sure what they're worried about.
Now, hey, you know, we all have dreams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
All
he
right.
was raising a stink about Iran there.
Yeah.
You see that they're launching
Yeah.
ballistic missiles now. So, I'm sure they're still making, you know, enriching uranium and shit like that. But, you know, we gave them $3 billion to stop doing that, so I'm sure they stopped.
Yeah, well, that only seems right. I mean, I'd do something if you asked me for $3 billion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't they say that Trump stopped some kind of secret payout that they made at the last minute? I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't hear anything about it.
I mean, we're not talking about the $1 billion in cash or whatever we sent over on a plane.
Mm-hmm.
That was cash and it's gone and so sad, you know.
Yeah.
But I guess like in the last couple of days, Obama supposedly set up some kind of wire transfer. We were sending them all kinds of more money again. And Trump went in and put a stop, seized all the accounts it went to, and that's what I heard. But I don't know. Could be that fake news we learned about last week.
Yeah, you got to be careful, man.
You know, who knows?
Yeah, I was actually looking at that. I think it was the New York Times printed that story about the Trump and the pee girls.
Yeah.
Peeing on the bed.
Yeah.
And they reported it as unsubstantiated reports.
Ooh.
That's not news. If it's unsubstantiated, why are you putting it in the newspaper?
Yeah. No, that sounds right. Yeah, I never heard any more of that, but when I say that...
Yeah, no, it turns out it was all made up.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, because I've
They're
been
pretty
listening to
confident about it.
audiobooks and
Yeah.
whatever. I don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah, I've been going
People
a little
keep
bit deep
asking
lately
me, and I'm
myself,
like,
too.
I don't
I'm staying out of the news, man. The whole thing is a little bit getting me on edge.
That's it. All right, so with that, check us out, preppingbadass.com. Check us out on Facebook. You might want to head over to Patreon, throw us a little love. And you know what? I was thinking, though, I was looking at our numbers. For this month, I think we had something like 12,000 downloads.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to get those numbers up. I want to hit like 20,000.
Okay.
I know that's almost double. It's a big jump.
Mm-hmm.
You guys got to tell your friends. You got to, help us out a little bit. Throw us a bone. If you enjoy what you're hearing, maybe share the love a little bit. Maybe share the thing on Facebook, Tell your buddies something. The other way you could help us out is it'd be really cool if you guys went over. I look at the other podcasts. Some of the other prepper ones that are beating us out in the ratings, they got like 40, 60 reviews on iTunes.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like 13, 14.
Yeah.
Come on, we could get a little love.
Mm-hmm.
Leave us a review.
Just takes a minute.
Just takes a minute. You might say, hey, I really wish Chuck would sharpen up his attitude there and be nice to people. Whatever. I don't know what you want to say. But, hey, work with us. You show us a little
you guys
love.
are already a little bit lucky because, we both have faces designed for radio. You don't want to see us on TV.
We're already doing you a favor.
Yeah.
So with that, stay safe, and we will talk to you guys next week.